Good evening, everybody. Whoa. The City of Peabody Zoning Board of Appeals meets tonight in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, and other applicable laws. Tonight's hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The Secretary, which tonight will be Mr. Keith Slattery, will read the legal notice or state that such notice has been waived. All applications this evening will be heard in the order they were received in the City Clerk's office or as otherwise designated by the Chair. The petitioner or petitioner's representative will present the subject application to the Board. The Chair may limit the length of all remarks. All parties in interest will be given an opportunity to speak either in favor or in opposition to a pending application, and the Board may receive similar written communications to be placed on the public record. The petitioner will be given the opportunity to refute any such remarks. The decision is then typed and filed with the City Clerk. Once the decision is filed with the City Clerk, there is a 20-day appeal period. In compliance with the open meeting law, this hearing is also being recorded by our clerk. When you come to the podium, please speak directly into the microphone, state your name and address for the record. I will just go over that a tiny bit for the people that are new here and haven't done this before. We'll take the applications in order. Come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then tell us why you're here. If you have an attorney with you or a builder, and they're going to speak for you, then they can come up and do the same thing. So at this point in time, we will start with the continued hearing, continued application of Spiro DeMarcus, care of Attorney Kelty. Number 1.
Good evening.
No, you don't have to do it because it's continued.
I have to do one. Okay. The reading of, yeah, it sure is. I'll stand outside the room. The reading was done several months ago, and this is a variance which, as I've indicated in the application, that we are proposing an addition which is...
Attorney Kelty, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you gather your thoughts because I forgot. I didn't really forget, but Mayor Betancourt is here this evening, and I'm going to let him speak before we start our applications. So I'm going to let you gather your thoughts. And Mayor Betancourt? Yes, you trump him. Yes, you do.
Well, good evening, members. Good evening, everybody. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to comment and to thank all of you. I was just at a subcommittee meeting of the school committee on redistricting, and I kind of delivered the same message that I'm about to deliver now, and I've been trying to do that with a number of other commissions and boards. But I just really wanted to thank all of you for your volunteering to serve the city in this way. Certainly, it's been a very trying time trying to continue city government during these difficult days, and having volunteers serve in our city is crucial to a functioning city government. And without volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the work that we do day to day. We have not only the Zoning Board of Appeals, but the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, the Council on Aging, Cable Commission, Park and Rec Commission, and a number of school committee volunteer boards. And again, these are volunteer boards. You do not get paid, you do not get benefits, you certainly do not get any glory. What you do, though, is critical to the functioning of our city government, and you do it because you care for our city and you want to contribute to the community in some way. And as mayor, and I know everybody feels the same way as I do, that we're just very appreciative that you're willing to give up your time and energy and effort. You could be doing 100 different things right now, but you're spending the evening here helping with a number of city issues. And more so than really any other board, the Zoning Board of Appeals has had a real grind of it. For the last 2 years, putting COVID aside, you've been dealing with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40B. And I know the people here know what that is and a number of people watching, but for those that don't, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40B requires that all cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts have 10% of their housing in their city be affordable. So we have approximately, using round numbers, approximately 22,000 units of housing in the city of Peabody, thereby requiring 2,200 of those units to be affordable. For many, many, many years, we never had an issue of being under that number. We were always over the 10%. Then what happened a couple of decades ago, there was an opportunity for what's called a buyout provision, which allows developers, when they're building construction, to buy out the obligation to require affordable housing. Through the work of Councilor Manning Martin, who's here, and some other people, we've put restrictions on that to require that the affordable housing components to any project be built. And thankfully that started to change for us. But there were two major projects that completely threw off our numbers and really put us in the situation that we find ourselves these last 2 years. One was Brooksby Village. We had approximately 2,000 units of housing come on board, requiring 200 units to be affordable. They were allowed to do a buyout provision and instead pay money to the city in order to not build affordable housing. So that changed our ratios, changed our percentages significantly. Then the Dearborn Road property was developed with 440 units of housing, thereby requiring 40 units be affordable. Again, that property or that developer was allowed to pay the city money instead of building affordable units. So we had 240 affordable units that were supposed to be built that weren't, and that caused our numbers to go dramatically down when they did the census back in 2010. And since then, we've been struggling to get back up to 200, to the 10% threshold. Lo and behold, when 2010 census came, guess what? We were 200 units below. It's directly tied, I feel, to those two projects being bought out and not having to build those affordable units. So anyway, what it's done is it's put the city in a very difficult position to negotiate. It's put the city in a very difficult position to try to make sure that those affordable units are built and constructed, because the city or the developer has the right to then bypass city council, bypass the different boards, different ordinance requirements, and just go straight to the state to get approval under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40B. Takes the city completely out of it, which can be very frustrating, I know, for all of us, certainly for me and other elected officials who are continually receiving phone calls and getting information thrown at us or questions about this very thing. So what it did do is it put the issue onto all of you. Once it goes to the state, the last time I looked, it was over 98% of the projects that are submitted to the state under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40B, are approved. And that's what's happened to a number of projects that have come to the Zoning Board of Appeals, because that's a requirement that it comes to all of you. So it's put all of you in a under very intense pressure, very difficult decisions, very difficult issues that affect quality of life, that affect neighborhoods, that affect the whole city. And I'm very appreciative, although I haven't always agreed with your decisions. There's been some I have, some I haven't. But I know that you've all done your research, you've done your analysis, you've worked hard, you've had these meetings, and I know your motives have always been very good in terms of trying to do what's right for the city, and I appreciate that always. I think when I last looked, and I just looked today just to kind of get a sense, over the last 2 years, you've had 35 meetings. That's far and above what you typically would have. Typically, it's once a month, and you don't even meet during the summer. But you've had 35 meetings the last 2 years trying to work on these housing issues and these Chapter 40B issues specifically. And those have been very difficult. Now, I know all of you, like every board, I was just at the redistricting committee where there was parents and teachers and elected officials and people who were there not getting paid again, not receiving any benefits other than trying to help the city. But they could be doing just like you. You could be doing anything tonight. There's 100 different things you could be doing. Instead, you're here at City Hall trying to help with these difficult issues. You know, Chairperson Galugi, you're a retired school teacher. I know you're doing a great deal of tutoring, volunteering over at the library and other places. All of you have families. You're Little League baseball coaches. You're in the PTO. Councilor Osborne, you're a longtime city councilors. There's just a number of things that you could all be doing, but instead you're trying to help the city working here. In addition to family lives, you have professional lives and careers. And again, just very appreciative. I wanted to come and express my thanks to all of you for the work that you're doing. We don't function without it. And again, I'm just very appreciative. So I just wanted to come and publicly thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate those kind words. Back to you, Attorney Kelty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts. I appear on behalf of Spiro J. DeMarcus, trustee. We seek variance for the property at 8 Bourbon Street in West Peabody, Mass. The variance is front setback of 26 feet rather than 50, rear setback of 28 rather than 50, again. Side yard of 40, we're proposing 26 feet where 40 is required, and we're asking for 65 spaces where 73 spaces would be required based on the existing building and this addition. We have been contacted by the Peabody Fire Department through this board. I have submitted to you a second plan, which is a site plan which reflects that the turning radius information provided by the Peabody Fire Department has been placed onto this plan, and the second plan now shows that the turning requirements of the Peabody Fire Department and the State Fire Marshal's Office can be met. So having complied with that, we also would provide a letter of support from Al Yeba. As you may recall, Mr. Yeba is the neighbor to our in front of our building, and he has developed in the game and made the tremendous investment in improvements on the mall that is immediately in front of us. And that letter says unequivocally that Mr. Yeba has no objection to the granting of a variance that would provide for this 70 by 44 addition. We have also determined that we will have no impact on drainage or in as much as we are currently paved. This lot is paved in its entirety. We are abutted by Lowell Street, I-95, and the Yeba Mall. The letter I'll submit to Mr. Slattery, and we can share that letter from Mr. Yeba. And we are happy to answer questions that the board may have this evening with respect to, if you can't accept that, that's fine. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Jack, does this still have to gain approval by the planning board and the city council?
No, I do not. Planning board will not require an approval or, well, site plan review. The building, the 77 by 44 is larger. It will require site plan review to be conducted with a fully designed architectural plan, but there is no approval necessary from the city council.
Through the chair. Attorney Kelty, one of the correspondence we got was from the State of Peabody's Department of Community Development and Planning, and had referenced that they would prefer not to have parking implemented on the eastern side of the building. If I'm looking at this correctly, I can't tell if they're referring to the area behind the building as in front of the building as the eastern part? Because where I see 5 new parking spaces, looks like it would be the southern as I'm seeing it. So I'm just trying to see if you can enlighten us as to where they determined they did not want additional parking, and if that impacts the ability of the fire apparatus to turn.
It doesn't impact our fire radius and our fire turning needs. I do believe that they're referring to the spaces which are out back, and I agree with you that that is to the northwest. Yeah. And the site plan that you received as the second plan, that has removed those spaces. There are specifically 1, 2, 3, 4, there are specifically 5 at a little juncture where the property line has no, there's no jog, but there are, those 5 spaces can be removed at the behest of the City Community Development Department.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing just because the way the plan is drawn to the east would be every single parking spot. So it just didn't really make much sense.
In front of the building, yes.
Right.
I think it was just an orientation.
Okay, so they're aware of the 5 new spaces where the fire apparatus would have to turn, though, and that was factored into this whole decision? At the southern
Yes.
part? Okay.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Anybody else on the board? Matter is before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing. Motion to approve.
Let me just say that Keith Slattery has total voting privileges tonight on all the applications. Call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Vote, this has been approved.
Thank you, members.
Number 2 is on 28 North Central Street.
Good evening. Legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, on the application of Loris Iokiam for a variance from the provisions of the zoning ordinance 2020 as amended, sections 7.2 as it applies to the premise known as 28 North Central Street, Peabody, Massachusetts. Petitioner seeks a variance for an accessory structure and a deck and requires relief of lot coverage where 20% is allowed and 30% is proposed. Deck side setback where 10 feet is required and 5 feet is proposed. The property is located in an R3 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabody-mass.gov or by calling 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting is posted on the City of Peabody website.
If you're here, you may come up. Press the button till it turns red. Okay, you can bend this a little bit if you'd like. A name and address for the record, and then tell us why you're here.
Okay. Joachim Loris, I live in 28 North Central Street, and I'm here for the variance for the shed and the porch we like to do.
A little bit more?
Go ahead, you can, because I don't understand.
So what's required is that it's 10 feet away from the fence, and we're proposing 5 feet. And then the shed, what they're requiring is 20%,
Yeah.
and we're proposing 30%. So we're just trying to build a little porch off the kitchen, okay? And it's very small, and it's not in anybody's way. It's just right off the kitchen. There's a little bit of yard afterward, and it's, how big is the deck we're trying to do?
6 by 8.
Enough for probably 2 chairs and a little table, just something to look outside in the backyard at nighttime. You know, we're getting old, we like to relax together. And then he's trying to build a shed in the yard to keep his lawnmower, his motorcycles, snow blower, and we're trying to clean the yard up so it'll look nice. So we need to clean up the yard, put a shed, and then his father has a garden at the end of the yard, which we will leave alone, because he's 90 years old and he likes to do his gardening.
There you go, that's what we wanted to hear. Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Matters before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing. Motion to approve.
Roll call vote, please.
Keith. Julie. Barry. Stephen.
Yes.
Fran.
Yes, you have been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You will hear from Ms. McGrath tomorrow for the appeal period, and she'll explain that to you. Number 3, 15 Elgin Road.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, on the application of J. Douglas and Deborah White for a variance from the provisions of the Zoning Ordinance 2020 as amended, sections 7.1.5, as it applies to the premise known as 15 Elginwood Road in Peabody, Massachusetts. Petitioner seeks a variance for an accessory structure, garage, and requires relief to side yard where 10 feet is required and 4 feet is proposed. Accessory structure size where 500 square feet is allowed and 720 square feet is proposed. The property is located in an R1 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabody-mass.gov or calling 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting is posted on the City of Peabody website.
Thank you, members of the board. John Kelty for the petitioners, Douglas and Deborah White. This is actually the reapplication of seeking the reissuance of a variance that had been granted several years ago with the COVID impact on the economy and in particular my client's economy. The project got to a certain point of completion and then was unable to be completed. The applicants have been before the Conservation Commission and they have been approved there. Essentially, their permits were renewed, and that's what we're asking this evening. Once again, we're asking that the variance, the very same variance that was issued in the past, be issued once again this evening. Thank you.
Just through the chair. Just one thing for clarification, Attorney Kelty, is I didn't see in the paperwork anything with respect to the prior application and the size of the garage. Has the size of the garage or the dimensions or the build out of it changed at all, or is it exactly the same as it was last time it was before us?
Exactly the same. They are also, as you probably see on the plan, they're their own abutters.
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Hearing none, the matter is before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing. Motion to approve.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, number 4 is 315 Linfield Street.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, on the application of Evans Margaret L. Trustee for a variance from the provisions of the zoning ordinance as 2020 as amended, sections 7.2, as it applies to the premise known as 315 Linfield Street in Peabody, Mass. Petitioner seeks a variance for a 16-foot by 17-foot addition and requires relief to left side yard where 20 feet is required and 15 feet is proposed. The property is located in an R1B zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabody-mass.gov or by calling 978-538-5792. In advance and prior to the public hearing, the agenda for this meeting is posted on the City of Peabody website.
Name and address for the record.
Sorry, my name is Peter Hashi. I'm here on behalf of Southers Construction, representing 315 Linfield Street, Margaret Evans. So we're proposing to build the four-season addition. Basically, what we want to do is remove the existing deck structure and in its place, pretty much covering the same footprint, a four-season addition to the house. I believe you said it was 15 feet? I think there was a little bit of confusion on that. What I have from my survey is actually 13. Yes, okay, okay. And as far as I can tell, that's the only issue we have is that side yard setback. Pretty much. It's about 1 foot larger to the left side.
Through the chair. Although I'm not an immediate abutter to this, I live real close to this area, and these lots are all bizarrely shaped. They're all angled. They cut down real hard on the backside, and I'm very familiar with the area. I don't think it's going to be any problem.
Great. Any other comments by the board? Questions? Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Hearing none, the matter is before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Julie? Yes. Barry?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Set, yes. Thank you. Yep. Number 5, let's see, 436 Azalea Lane.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, on the application of the 437 Essex, Inc. for a variance from the provisions of the zoning ordinance 2020 as amended, section 7.2, as it applies to the premise known as 6 Azalea Lane in Peabody, Massachusetts. Petitioner seeks a variance for an addition with roof extension to cover walkway and requires relief to side yard where 20 feet is required and 12.8 is proposed, front yard where 25 feet is required and 24.2 feet is proposed. The property is located in an R1 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabody-mass.gov or by calling 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting is posted on the City of Peabody website.
Okay, in reviewing this application, we identified an error in the denial letter. We are asking the applicant to submit a revised plot plan. The engineer will need to show precisely what relief he's requesting for that side setback. The plan submitted isn't clear enough. Once the revised plot plan is received, the building inspector will review it. Should relief be required, the applicant will come before the board in February with a denial that reflects the correct information. The attorney has requested a continuance to February 28th, 2022. If anyone needs an update on the February meeting, please call Carla McGrath at 978-538-5792. Could you please read just read what he wrote from, yes. The secretary will now read that email correspondence into the record.
This is an email dated Monday, January 24th, 2020, at 3:21 p.m. from Pat Burke to Carla McGrath. Carla, pursuant to our conversation today, I am requesting a month's continuance to the next hearing date and per the new plan and denial letter. Thank you for your consideration. Pat Burke, attorney at law.
May I have a motion to continue that to the February 28th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Concludes all our applications for this evening. And now we have our special meeting, basically. We are going to ask Attorney Seligson to come up to read the findings and the conditions and to address the board on 40 to 42 Endicott Street, which is the 40B that has been in our docket since May 3rd.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Ms. McGrath. On the residences at Endicott, the 40B application and decision that I have for you, I just want to sort of set the parameters. The public hearing in this matter opened up on May 3rd, 2001. By a unanimous vote, you closed the public hearing on December 20th, 2021. So there is no more public discourse for the board to do. I'm going to read the findings and the conditions and the decision for you that I've worked with Mr. Panos, who is counsel for the petitioner. The board can discuss the decision amongst yourselves. You can ask questions of me, you can ask questions of Mr. Panos, but we're not to take any more evidence in or any more public comment because the public hearing has closed. All right, so with that, I will read the findings. The decision is 21 pages. I'm not going to read all of that. 22 pages. At the back, the last page of the decision before the attachment has a section where the members can vote in favor or against and sign it. I have a copy of that for you. The decision has a procedural background which talks about the application materials. It then discusses the hearing process, again opened up on May 3rd, 2021 and closed on December 20, 2021. Then it discusses the peer review and local board review components. Then it articulates and describes the extensive record, including the application, correspondence in support of the application, which numbers almost 91 pieces of paper, correspondence in opposition to the application, which numbers around 19 pieces of paper, the peer review memoranda and letters, the DPS memoranda and letters, and it is very detailed in terms of what the record provides. So I'm going to read the findings for you. The board adopts the following findings pursuant to 760 CMR 56.05 subpart 8 and other applicable provisions of the Act. The application conforms to and was submitted in compliance with the Act and the Peabody rules and regulations, including without limitation the completed comprehensive permit checklist and distribution list pursuant to which it was properly distributed to all local boards. Number 2, the hearing was duly and properly noticed and called to order in accordance with the Act and the Peabody rules and regulations. Number 3, the hearing was properly conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Act, Peabody rules and regulations, applicable provisions of the open meeting law pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, as amended and affected by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts executive orders resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and other applicable law, having given all parties in interest the opportunity to be heard. The applicant and the development are qualified pursuant to 760 CMR 56.04, pursuant to that Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency project eligibility letter dated March 24, 2021, and the project eligibility requirements as detailed in said letter established pursuant to 760 CMR 56.04 subpart 1 are reaffirmed in their entirety. The City of Peabody at the time of the filing of the application did not have 10% of its total housing units available to low and moderate income households, according to the DHCD subsidized housing inventory as defined in 760 CMR 56.02. As proposed, the development is set forth in detail in the application and preliminary plans and specifications as subsequently presented and amended, and includes 62 residential apartment-style rental units, 4 studio one-bedroom units, 36 one-bedroom units, 15 two-bedroom units, and 7 three-bedroom units, located in one building with at-grade and underground parking garages. There are 4 ADA accessible apartment units. 16 of the units, or 25%, will be designated affordable for those residents earning a maximum of 80% of the area median income as prescribed by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, Boston, CA, Quincy, MSA, Regional 2021, and as may be further adjusted from time to time. 92 parking spaces are proposed, consisting of 78 garage spaces and 14 exterior spaces, with a total of 5 accessible parking spaces for the facility in compliance with ADA and Mass AAB guidelines. The applicant has further committed to construct 2 time-restricted parking spaces, public parking spaces along the project frontage along Endicott Street. The exterior spaces, including visitor rideshare spaces. All parking is as set forth in the preliminary schematic design package containing preliminary conceptual design drawings, floor plans, exterior renderings, and elevations for the building prepared by BKA Architects in 9 sheets dated November 2, 2021, and the preliminary site development plan number 40 to 42 Endicott Street, Peabody, Mass. in 8 sheets dated December 3rd, 2020, revised through November 4, 2021, prepared by Hayes Engineering, Inc. The development will be served by municipal water and sewer according to connections depicted in preliminary site development plan number 40 to 42, Endicott Street, Peabody, Mass, in 8 sheets dated December 3, 2020, revised through November 4, 2021, prepared by Hayes Engineering, Inc. The development presented in the application as revised and amended and as conditioned meets the local and regional housing need in the city of Peabody and is consistent with local needs as required by the Act. The waivers from the zoning ordinance and other applicable ordinances requested by the applicant pursuant to the list of requested exemptions/exceptions/waivers from the applicable City of Peabody ordinance and regulations for the residences at Endicott LLC as of March 12, 2020, prepared by the PANOS law group and forming a part of the application are consistent with local needs as defined by the Act and are required to permit the construction and operation of the development. Through the course of the hearing, the board reviewed and considered testimony and comments from all parties in interest, local boards and its peer review consultants, which collectively formed the basis of the decision below and the conditions. Here is the decision. Pursuant to the Act, the board, and duly convening a public hearing and making findings of fact, grants a comprehensive permit to the applicant for the construction of 62 residential apartment-style rental units, 4 studio one-bedroom units, 36 one-bedroom units, 15 two-bedroom units, and 7 three-bedroom units, located in one building with at-grade and underground parking garages at the site. There are 4 ADA-accessible apartment units proposed. 16 of the units, or 25%, will be designated affordable for those residents earning a maximum of 80% of the area median income, as prescribed by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. 92 parking spaces are proposed, consisting of 78 garage spaces and 14 exterior spaces, with a total of 5 accessible parking spaces for the facility in compliance with the ADA and Mass AAB guidelines. The exterior spaces include visitor/ride-share spaces. In addition to the parking on site, the applicant shall provide for 2 time-restricted parking spaces on Endicott Street as depicted on the plans. All parking is as set forth in the preliminary schematic design package containing preliminary conceptual design drawings, floor plans, exterior renderings, and elevations for the building prepared by BKA Architects in 9 sheets dated November 2, 2021, and the preliminary site development plan number 40 to 42, Endicott Street, Peabody, Mass, in 8 sheets dated December 3, 2020, revised through November 4, 2021, prepared by Hayes Engineering, Inc. The development is approved as set forth more specifically in the application, with associated infrastructure improvements subject to the conditions listed below. Here are the conditions. Number 1, the development shall be constructed in substantial conformance with those plans entitled Preliminary Site Development Plan number 40 to number 42, Endicott Street, Peabody, Mass, in 8 sheets dated December 3, 2020, revised through November 4, 2021, prepared by Hayes Engineering, Inc., showing existing conditions, proposed layout, utilities, proposed grading and drainage, landscape, lighting, landscaping, and site details, and referenced above, together with plans, unless otherwise specified in this decision. The development shall include no more than 62 residential apartment-style rental units, comprised of 4 studio one-bedroom units, 36 one-bedroom units, 15 two-bedroom units, and 7 three-bedroom units, located in one building with an at-grade and underground parking garages located at the site. There are 4 ADA accessible apartment units proposed and required. The units shall have a maximum number of bedrooms as follows: 4 one-bedroom studios, 36 one-bedrooms, 15 two-bedrooms, 7 three-bedrooms, for a total of 62 units and 91 total bedrooms. Number 4, with respect to the applicant's, quote, list of requested exemptions/exceptions/waivers from the applicable City of Peabody ordinances and regulations for the residences at Endicott LLC as of March 12, 2020, close quote, prepared by the PANOS Law Group, the board approves those waivers listed in Attachment A to this decision. To the extent the waivers listed in Attachment A conflict with those listed on the plans, then Attachment A list governs. Number 5, the applicant shall, upon receipt of a building permit and prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, complete the following upgrades to the Farnham Park crosswalk at its cost and expense. A, the overhead flashing beacon shall be replaced with 2 solar-powered rectangular rapid flashing beacons. B, installation of an ADA-compliant concrete sidewalk ramp on the park side of the crosswalk to replace the existing ramp. Condition number 6. The applicant shall commit to joining the North Shore Transportation Management Association for a 5 to 10-year commitment, so long as the North Shore Transportation Management Association is in existence and operational in accordance with its mission to reduce traffic congestion and vehicle emissions, improve air quality, and enhance access by promoting and advocating for transportation options that support environmental sustainability goals and promote business and municipal economic development objectives. Condition number 7, the applicant shall require its private contractors to restrict all waste hauling vehicles from accessing the site from the southbound direction of Endicott Street, originating from Wilson Square towards the site. Condition number 8, the applicant shall cooperate with the Peabody Police Department and the Peabody City Council as applicable to A, restrict on-street parking on the easterly side of Endicott Street from Berry Street to the 2 proposed on-street parking spots in front of the applicant's proposed building. B, create 2 on-street time-restricted parking spots on Endicott Street in front of the applicant's building as depicted on the plans. Condition number 9, prior to the building permit issuance, the applicant shall provide the Department of Public Services with a copy of the finalized roof plan that shows the roof drainage tying into infiltration beds. Condition number 10, 25% of the units totaling 16 units shall be maintained as affordable in perpetuity, which, for the purposes of this decision, shall mean subject to the requirements of the subsidizing agency, Mass Housing. The affordable units shall be maintained as affordable for so long as housing on the property is not in compliance with the City of Peabody zoning requirements. The affordable units shall be available for rental and occupancy by households earning at or below 80% of the AMI, adjusted for household size as defined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development pursuant to Section 3 of 42 U.S. Code 1437, the Housing Act of 1937. Condition number 11, in accordance with the guidelines, GLC Chapter 40B Comprehensive Permit Projects Subsidized Housing Inventory, and to the extent allowed by law, and applicable MA Department of Housing and Community Development and Mass Housing guidelines, preference for rental of up to 70% of the affordable units shall be given to residents of the City of Peabody. For this purpose is defined as anyone currently living in the City of Peabody at the time of application to rent a unit, employees of businesses located in the City of Peabody employees or households with children attending school in the Peabody School District. Subject to approval by Mass Housing and/or DHCD, the applicant or its duly qualified designees shall manage the lottery to select owners, also known as the lottery agent. The applicant shall bear all lottery agent costs. The applicant retains the responsibility to ensure that the lottery complies with all legal requirements. Condition number 12, if a lottery for determining who may own affordable housing is won by a person or persons with disabilities, the applicant shall make an accessible affordable unit available to that person. Condition number 13, the building and its units in the building shall substantially conform to the schematic design package containing preliminary conceptual design, drawings, floor plans, exterior renderings, and elevations for the building prepared by BKA Architects in 9 sheets dated November 2, 2021, also known as the design plans. Changes to exterior building materials shall be subject to review and approval by the Planning and Community Development Director. Vinyl siding is prohibited. Condition number 14, the following portions of the development shall be and shall remain forever private, and the city shall not have now or ever any legal responsibility for their management, operation, maintenance, or repair. A, stormwater maintenance system within the site. interior roadways, driveways, and parking areas, snow plowing and removal, all sewer connections, lines, equipment required from public ways to the building, lighting, trash disposal, all site utilities, including domestic water, fire protection, gas if applicable, electric, telephone, and cable system located within the site. Condition number 15, snow shall be stored in a manner that does not reduce on-site parking or interfere with pedestrian access and vehicle line of sight. The applicant shall not plow snow off the property and into any City of Peabody right-of-way, Endicott Street, and the City of Peabody property located at 5 Berry Street. Plowable accumulating snow shall be collected and hauled off-site for disposal by a private contractor. Condition 16, the applicant shall manage, operate, maintain, and/or repair all the items listed in conditions 14 through A through G above. Condition 17, the project shall be connected to the municipal water and sewer systems as depicted on the plans. Condition 18, during the construction of water, sewer, and drainage systems, the applicant's project engineer shall be on site at least weekly to inspect the installation of all such systems and shall certify in writing that to the DPS that all aspects of such systems were properly installed and in accordance with approved plans. Number 19, the applicant shall follow the recommendations outlined in the tie-in bond letter dated September 3, 2021 in respect to cured in-place polyethylene lining of Dahlia Avenue segments S052-027.1 to S052-027.2 and S063-014 to S063-015, including the upstream and downstream manholes of these segments at an estimated cost of $100,000. The project expense shall be capped at $100,100, the applicant's infiltration removal fee. At the end of the construction of the development, any remaining inflow or infiltration removal fee funds shall be paid directly to the City of Peabody, being the difference between the fully and duly accounted for project costs and the subject cap of $100,100. The applicant shall perform the subject work. In the event the cost of the inflow infiltration project detailed herein exceeds the applicant's inflow infiltration removal fee of $100,100, then the City of Peabody shall be liable for and responsible for the excess cost difference. Condition number 20, the parking lot depicted on the plans shall be graded to ensure that the parking garage access drive is pitched away from the building at a minimum of 4% slope for 20 feet. The licensed site professional designated by the applicant at the time of the development construction commencement shall observe and oversee the excavation and soil management throughout the entire site. Condition 22. The area of the infiltration bed depicted on the plans is not to be used for stockpiling, temporary sediment basements, or any other activities that may negatively impact their ability to properly operate in the future. Number 23. All fill material is to be removed from and below within 5 feet laterally of the infiltration area and as shown on the plans and replaced with Title V approved sand. Condition 24. A bed bottom inspection shall be conducted of the proposed infiltration bed as shown on the plans by the applicant's licensed soil evaluator and DPS. This inspection shall take place prior to the installation of any stone within the infiltration beds. Condition 25. The applicant, through its agents, employees, representatives, and/or contractors, shall mail proof of inspections and cleaning of the stormwater system to the Public Services Department, care of the environmental engineer at 50 Farm Avenue, Peabody, Mass. 01960, by October 31st annually, and shall maintain copies of the same for the applicant's internal file. Number 26. The applicant shall provide 12 street-level on-site bicycle spaces. Condition 27, trees planted along and within Endicott Street within the Endicott Street right-of-way shall not interfere with sightlines and shall be maintained in perpetuity so that no vegetation, branches, etc. exists for a height of 5 feet from the finished grade. Number 28, the applicant shall commit to an ongoing condition that prohibits light trespass from the site onto immediately adjacent and abutting properties. Number 29, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall, 1, perform additional soil testing and expand the proposed on-site infiltration system to the maximum extent practicable in applicant's reasonable determination. 2, provide the Department of Public Services with a copy of the finalized roof connection plan showing the roof drainage tying into the infiltration bed. 3, provide DPS with a plan showing Roman numeral 1, an ADA-compliant sidewalk along with the applicant's footage. 2, the creation of 2 8 by 22 feet on-street parking spaces at Endicott Street as shown on the plans. And 3, removal of the existing driveway cut between the applicant's building and 30 Endicott Street and the infill of the same with granite curbing matching the development frontage. Condition number 30, this deals with pre-construction review. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall, 1, engage in and complete at the applicant's cost and expense third-party review of all the building plans, such review is directed by the city's Inspectional Service Department Commissioner, limited to issues regarding the building code, 760 CMR, and the fire code, 527 CMR 1 et sec, as adopted in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and review of the development according to such other applicable state and federal but not municipal statutes, laws, codes, regulations related to the construction of the development. Such third-party review shall be limited to and conducted in a manner similar to that required by other like-size market-rate housing developments in the city of Peabody. Unless required by applicable state law, such review shall not result in alteration or variance of the plans or design plans. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall also, 2, initiate and participate in a pre-construction meeting to discuss the proposed construction schedule with its contractor and the city, including but not limited to building, engineering, police, fire, health, and community development departments, so long as such does not result in any variance or alteration of this decision, the plans, or the design plans. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall 3, demonstrate all required state approvals and permits that have been obtained and demonstrate that it has obtained final approval from Mass Housing pursuant to 760 CMR 56.04 subpart 7. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall 4, provide a performance guarantee in an amount set by the city engineer, which guarantee shall be posted to ensure completion of the infrastructure as listed below in accordance with the plans. The guarantee shall be in the form acceptable to the PCD and substantially similar charged to market-rate housing developments in the city of Peabody, and with input from the city engineer. Items covered by the performance guarantee may include, but shall not be limited to, as-built drawings, sewer and utilities, roadway construction and maintenance, erosion control, site screening and street trees, drainage facilities, stormwater management system facilities, site restoration, final cleanup. The performance guarantee will be reduced from time to time as work progresses and released upon approval by the city engineer. Condition number 31 deals with construction. During construction, the applicant shall conform to all state and federal laws regarding noise, vibration, dust, and blocking off of any roads. The applicant shall always use reasonable means to minimize inconvenience to businesses and residents in the general area. The applicant shall provide the building and police departments with the name and 24-hour telephone number for the project manager responsible for construction. The hours for operation of construction equipment and personnel are limited by city ordinance. Any noise or traffic complaints during these hours will be investigated, and stipulations may be put in place by the building or police department based on reasonableness. The operation of construction equipment and personnel involved outside these hours may be allowed on an emergency basis with the approval of the Chief of Police. Number 32, applicant shall ensure that no erosion from the site of construction occurs which will cause deposition of soil or sediment upon adjacent properties or public ways, except as normally ancillary to off-site utility construction or other off-site roadway construction. In the event of any off-site erosion or deposition, the applicant shall be given written notice and 10 days to cure said condition. Number 33, at least 14 days prior to commencing land disturbance activities, the applicant shall provide copies of the following documents to the city: stormwater pollution prevention plan, signed operation and maintenance plan, and signed illicit discharge statement. Condition number 34. Prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the final building, the applicant shall submit an as-built plan stamped by a registered professional engineer in Massachusetts that shows all construction, including stormwater mitigation trenches and the inverts of all subsurface drainage structures and other pertinent site features. This as-built plan shall be submitted to the city engineer and the building commissioner for approval and must be provided in a digital format as well as paper form. The applicant shall also submit a letter from the project architect and engineer stating that the building, landscaping, and site layout comply with the plans as substantially approved by the board. And then there are a few general conditions. 35, the provisions of this comprehensive permit shall be binding upon the heirs, successors, and assigns of the applicant, and the obligations shall run with the land. 36, the applicant shall pay the costs of all inspections as may be required and similar to those charged for similar market rate housing developments to ensure compliance with the conditions listed herein, subject to the provisions referenced in the applicant's, quote, list of requested exemptions, exceptions, waivers from the applicable City of Peabody's ordinances and regulations for the residences at Endicott LLC, close quote, prepared by the Panis Law Group. The board approves those waivers listed in Attachment A. 37, if any part of this decision is for any reason held invalid or unenforceable, such invalidity or unenforceability shall not affect the validity of any other portion of this decision. 38, the board or its designee shall retain jurisdiction over the project to ensure compliance with the terms and conditions of this decision. 39, upon execution by the members of the board, the clerk of the board is directed to file this decision with the city clerk and send a copy to the applicant by certified mail, return receipt requested. Number 40, any person aggrieved by this decision may appeal pursuant to Section 21 of the Act. Number 41, this comprehensive permit shall expire if construction is not commenced within 3 years from the date of this decision. From the date this decision becomes final as approved in 760 CMR 56.5, subsection 12, subsection C, and subject to the tolling provisions of 760 CMR 56.5, subsection 12C. For the purposes of this paragraph, commencement of construction is defined as the preparation of the site for construction of the building foundations. The applicant may apply to the board for reasonable extensions to this comprehensive permit for good cause. If the applicant, number 42, if the applicant substantially revises any of the plans or design plans as approved by the board or other materials listed in Section 1 of the procedural background as supplemented and referred to in this decision with conditions, except for changes resulting from third-party review referenced in paragraph 30 above, or construction review referenced in paragraph 30 above, so long as such changes do not result in a material change in the parking ratio or reduction in density of the units, it shall present the revised plans to the board in accordance with 760 CMR 56.5, subsection 11. Condition number 43, this comprehensive permit may be transferred by the applicant only upon compliance with the requirements of 760 CMR 56.05, subsection 12B. So that is the decision, the findings, and the conditions. This is the decision for the board to review, discuss, and then vote as you, and you have it? You have it, okay. So, and again, you can discuss amongst yourselves, you can ask questions of me, and you can ask questions of Mr. Panos, but you cannot entertain public comment because the public hearing is closed. All right? Okay. I'm going to go sit. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to...
Okay, thank you, Seligson. So we have everything in front of us right now, and we've heard findings, conditions, decision. I now need to know if we have anything else that might want to be stated, discussed, worked on, commented on. Once there are none, we'll then...
I guess I'll open it up. Obviously, we received a lot of documentation and correspondence on this over the last, whatever, it's been 9-10 months approximately. And although there's only been a 6-unit reduction in this, and I think we can agree that a lot of us would have liked to see more, this was something that was reviewed tirelessly by peer review and by representatives of the city of Peabody. And especially over the last couple meetings, opportunities were given to city departments to come and speak in opposition or claim what they might want to do or not want to do with this and what they might agree with and disagree with it. And we've received across the board is recommendations and agreement that it move forward as proposed as of the last meeting, which is consistent with as we read this order tonight. So I've said in the past on these 40Bs and other applications under 40A, and that is a lot of this is reliance upon our experts, especially where it's a 40B, and we have our hands tied significantly more than we would in a 40A. So I think that's what's before us, and that's what I'm going to make my decision based upon.
Thank you, Stephen. Any other little comments?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I think I'm going to reflect a lot of what Stephen said. It's a very difficult process. To me, I'll be honest with you, it's a very frustrating process because what you want to do in your heart, you go home and you read the correspondence and you realize that what you really want to do, you can't do. Were there disappointing things that went on during this process? To me, yes. But the applicant was well within his rights to refuse what I asked him to refuse. Some of the things I questioned about the reduction in the units was never a negotiated thing. I mean, we came to a meeting and, we decided we're going to reduce the units. Well, I would have liked to have participated in that discussion and say, geez, we really appreciate you going forward and doing this, but can you go a little further? Maybe this is the time to go a little further and take that whole top unit right off. You know, what can we give you to make you do that? And maybe there was some more give and take there, but it didn't happen. And when we talked about making it happen, you know, they weren't conducive. And this is not a criticism of anybody. This is just the frustration that I feel through this whole process, is to say that I sort of think that, you know, it could have been more, there could be more give and take at the proper times. And I'm not saying they didn't do it, they did it. They did, they listened. They reduced the number of units. I'm not criticizing them for that. But I sort of wish that we, somehow the system, the process could be more give and take. And I don't think we really do that we do it, but they can stonewall us, we can stonewall them. So it's a very difficult decision. And when you really look at it, you come down to the law, and it is the law. I mean, there's no doubt they made a reduction. You know, they listened, they went through peer review, all right? One of the other frustrating things is when we asked them to extend it just one more time at the request of the neighbors, they said no, and because peer review doesn't give us anything that says we have to, there's nothing in peer review that said that we need to discuss anything further. Well, peer review isn't the do-all, say-all. You know, I understand, yeah, they offered, they did it, they did everything they can. I'm gonna say that, you know, what's fair is fair. They did what they had to do, and hopefully we did what we had to do, and we came up with the best project for that area. With that being said, like I said, it's frustrating, and it's difficult, and sometimes, you know, you gotta, what you really want to do, and I'm gonna repeat myself, you can't. You gotta go back, read it over again, and say, nope, they did what they were supposed to do. There's really nothing I can do about that. And I think that's the whole frustration of 40B, because a lot of times there's really nothing you can do about that.
Through the chair, if I can just add to everything that they're saying. I mean, I think that this has been an extremely grueling process for everybody, for us on the board, for the developer, for the neighbors, for everybody. And I think that we've said it here. We do rely on the peer reviews and the consultants, people who know a lot better out in the field than what we would know. We can look at the law and we can apply the law, and we are tied when it comes to the 40Bs. And I think that we do not have a choice but to listen to what is presented before us. We have a decision here, we have 40 some odd conditions, we have peer reviews, correspondence that we've reviewed throughout, and it is what it is, and my decision will be based on that. So, thank you.
I need a motion, excuse me, I need a motion to approve the decision as read, please.
Motion to approve the decision as read.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes, this 40B has been approved. And that's a wrap. We need to accept the meeting minutes of December 20th.
I'll make a motion to accept those meeting minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next meeting will be February 28th. I thank you all very, very much. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.